In reviewing the product rule, we might want to consider what is a product rule and is not a product rule. So not a product rule would be something like y equals 5x to the fourth. There is multiplication, it's 5 times x to the fourth, but this one we can just bring down 5 times 4 is 20x to the third. It's just a constant being multiplied. What is a product rule is something like 5x times e to the x. You have x's that are multiplied. So not just 5 times x to the fourth, it's 5x times e to the x. Two x's being multiplied is a product rule. Anytime that happens, we'll use the product rule where you have a first factor with an x on it and a second factor with an x on it. Their derivative will be the derivative of the first, and we don't even need to use function notation, derivative of the first f prime times the original second plus the derivative of the second times the original first, just to write it nice and short. So we have a few examples here where we have x's times x's. So this first factor has an x in it, and so does this second factor has an x in it. So we're going to take the derivative of the first, multiply it by the original second, plus the original derivative of the second times the original first. So taking the derivative of the first here, x to the eighth is 8x to the seventh. Derivative of negative 5x is negative 5. And derivative of 1 is 0. It's a constant. There's the whole derivative of the first factor, and that gets multiplied by the original second. 3x to the 10th minus ln of 4. The derivative of the first times the original second plus, now I do the derivative of the second, derivative of 3x to the 10th. We're going to bring down that power. It's going to give us 30x to the 9th. And the derivative of ln of 4 is a constant. So it has a derivative of 0. So there's the derivative of the first original second plus the derivative of the second. That gets multiplied by the original first. X to the eighth minus 5x plus 1. There's my original first. So we know we're done. We could do that again. This next one is a little less obvious that it's a product rule, but you have x to the 9th, which is our first factor, and then you have e to the x is our second factor. So I'm going to do the derivative of the first factor. Derivative of x to the 9th is 9x to the 8th times the original second is e to the x, plus derivative of the second is e to the x times the original first is x to the 9th. Derivative of the first, original second, plus the derivative of the second times the original first. We know we're done. Last one here has x's times x's. We have 7 to the x times ln of x. So we know it is a product rule. I'm going to call the first factor 7 to the x and our second factor ln of x. Derivative of our first factor 7 to the x is ln of 7 times 7 to the x. Derivative of the first original second is ln of x, plus the derivative of the second factor is 1 over x, times the original first is a 7 to the x. What I personally like to do when I check these over is put them in parentheses. Here's the derivative of my first. That got multiplied by my original second, plus the derivative of my second factor times my original first. I know I have all my pieces. It does not require parentheses for this one, but it's not wrong to have them there.